Well, thank you everybody so much for being here. We are going to get started now with our first speaker, Collette Auerswald. So yeah, come on up.
Hooray. Awesome. Can you guys hear me online? Okay.
Yeah, the audio is good. Yes.
Okay, thank you so much. I'm really grateful to all of you for doing this. And it takes time to make change. And so I don't want you guys to be discouraged by how many people you have today. It's also a crazy time of year. But I know for a fact that there are a lot of students who are concerned about this issue, homelessness in our community, about the university's link to homelessness, how the university actually is one of the causal factors for homelessness, the ways in which People's Park has been politicized, and the people who are in People's Park have been harmed and are at risk of further harm because of that. And also the ways in which People's Park and stigma related to People's Park is also inextricably linked to the stigma and the fact that the university has been ignoring student homelessness and the fact that that has skyrocketed at least tenfold since before COVID. So this work is really, really important. And I think that sometimes galvanizing groups and getting groups together can be helpful. I know there's another student group that has just gotten started, Students for Housing Justice. They're focused on student homelessness, but really these are all very, very, very connected. And the way the university is responding to each of these is very, very connected. And also the ways in which we on our community at the university is very much connected. So I think it makes a lot of sense to bring folks together to think about that. I want to apologize in advance. I actually have a research lab of students who have been working with me regarding homelessness, specifically youth homelessness in the Bay Area for a few years. And this evening is our last lab meeting. So I can't miss that, but I didn't want to turn down this invitation. So I'm going to be going relatively soon after I speak to you, but that's not because I don't care, because I do. And then I am going to take a moment to make a plug. So there hasn't been an undergraduate course on homelessness. Until last fall, there wasn't a course for at least 5 years, maybe more like 10, except of course for DeCal classes, because DeCal classes are on its way ahead. And that's actually true overall in the UC system. So I was able to teach a pilot class on homelessness last fall, and I have to say, really, really, really successful. I'm saying that on the basis not of how I felt about it, but student evaluations averaged 7 for the class. So we did really well. Because it did so well, it's been accelerated by 2 years for evaluation as an AC requirement, and just got accepted today as an AC culture class. So I'm really excited about that because it's going to encourage folks who might not study the issue to study the issue. I really, really welcome folks who have deep understanding of the issue. I particularly welcome folks who have lived experience of homelessness, either before they were at Cal or at Cal, but really everyone I welcome into this class. And we really focus on people's narratives and also understanding the upstream causes to homelessness, and we don't pathologize folks for experiencing homelessness in our class. So I really hope that you guys will consider taking the class and also tell people you know about the class. Actually, it's an AC class, but the number has not been awarded yet because all of this has really been accelerated, like I said, by 2 or 3 years. It's been rushed. And so it will be Public Health 155E. Right now it's listed as Public Health 196, and it's the only class with my last name, Auerswald, which is impossible to spell, but if you have a file, you'll see how to spell it. So anyway, sorry about the shameless plugging, but I really believe that we have to have a population that understands homelessness in order to address this issue. And several students in the class, several of our groups of students did projects related to People's Park, and I'll share some of the products they made with this group. And I'm remembering as I talked that I didn't share that with you, but they created some things I think would be really helpful. So another thing that they created was this quiz. And so I would encourage you to potentially sit down with someone you don't know well. So not with someone you're sitting next to now, but see if you can sit next to someone else you don't know. And I know we're talking mostly to folks who have already decided they're interested in this issue. So I would encourage you to pair up, bring you guys back, if you can pair up and with someone here you don't know, and then do the quiz. It's linked here and it's also up here. And I want you to think about two things. So you can try to get the answers right. I expect you'll, most of you will get them all right. I'll tell you, I did it really quickly beforehand because I was like, oh, I gotta take this before I give it to other people. I got 9 answers right because one of the answers is wrong. So typical Berkeley professor, I didn't get it wrong. The quiz is wrong, but actually it is. So maybe you guys can see which question you think is wrong. And go through the quiz together in pairs. And I want you to think about 2 things. One, what the implications are of the beliefs in that quiz for policy, and 2, what the implications of the stigmatizing beliefs in that quiz are for individuals who are experiencing homelessness, how it harms them. So if you guys could do that, I think really thinking about how you can harness stigma and turn it around is one way we can address homelessness. And Lord knows there's a lot of stigma being hurled at People's Park. Another announcement of violent crime today at People's Park. I wish I could get like $1 for each of those. I would be able to get myself a really nice outfit. So anyway, can you guys get in pairs with someone you don't know? Wait. Good. Why don't you guys start? I don't know if the 2 of you or the 3 of you did it.
Yeah.
All right.
When I was taking the quiz, I mean, for one, I was learning a bunch. I was learning, more concrete facts and stuff. But I guess to think about individuals, I mean, what all of those things do is like, it's kind of how like policy, how the policy is shaped really individualizes the issue of homelessness, right? It makes it seem as if it's like a snowball effect of all these people's bad moral decisions, and somehow makes them seem as like intrinsically evil for, I mean, the quiz said it, right? The reason why most people are homeless is just straight up can't afford to have a house, And so I think about how the policies across like either the Bay Area or just anywhere for that matter really individualize the issue of homelessness. And I mean, that's all intentional, so that way people don't actually do things structurally or systemically, and like how these things actually work.
Awesome. Anyone else from your group want to add anything?
I was just really shocked to see the one about how many people in San Francisco that are employed also experience homelessness, because I feel like a big argument that people make is like, oh, well, if you just got a job, like, you just
Right.
But it kind of shows like that's not even enough, because minimum wage is not enough, especially in a city like San Francisco. So that one was really shocking to me personally.
Yeah. And so, so that also affects policies in terms of understanding that we have to have a living wage, right?
Yeah.
If we don't have a living wage, then it doesn't matter if you have a job. Do you guys want to share?
No, I mean, it was all of those answers actually seemed relevant. So, I mean, to some degree, it was hard to guess the right one because nothing they said wasn't true. So that's what was affecting me. But I think above all, it's mostly simply a matter of people not being able to afford housing. I think that's what jumped out.
Right.
And, you know, less any causes of personal blame or victim bashing. That's so.
Absolutely. As someone who studies youth homelessness, I would say with youth homelessness, it's a little more complicated than that.
It can.
Yeah. So, and for everyone, housing is necessary but not sufficient to address what's going on. But certainly for youth, that's definitely the case. But yes, absolutely. I won't put you on the spot since you just came in. Do you guys want to share?
Yeah, we were learning about how folks are counted. Census count and stuff, and I was reading the answer and I kind of laughed. It feels so like dehumanizing and like fake. It's like, wow, like, you know, there's like this issue of like folks are literally like not able to have a home and like settling, and then quite literally they're like wiped off of like the population.
Yeah.
And like how dehumanizing that is, and also like how hard that is to even like push policy to be able to know what that is.
Right.
Well, you know, there are some people stigma on top of that as well. It's just like, well, what are you gonna keep doing when you keep dehumanizing people that literally like were the vastly of this?
Absolutely. Anything else you guys want to add?
The census is like so key to like getting resources.
Yeah.
And like it's like how resources are distributed. And so like there's so many different ways that the census like assumptions made, inaccuracy, like a lot of like ways that the census like serves for like hardship or like harming people.
Yeah.
And also in the first question, like I feel like a lot of talk about houselessness focuses on like ways that people like individualize it through demonizing it or like things that are considered like morally corrupt. But also I've seen like reading those questions, like I noticed how even a lot of people who think that they're like sympathizing with people who are facing houselessness by like talking about how, oh, they must have mental health problems, like as pathologizing them and assuming that there's still a problem when it's like the system and like the way that resources and money are being allocated to people that's like causing those problems.
Right, right. Yeah, and I would just add a couple of things to all of that. That's so important. I'm going to get the students who created that to change it a little bit, because actually it's not the census that does the counting. The counting is done by local jurisdictions and it's paid for by HUD, Housing and Urban Development. So that's fine. That's not quite correct. And so it's the point in time count that's part of that. How that connects to the census, I can't tell you actually, but the point in time count is in fact how things are decided. And it particularly undercounts historically marginalized populations, including Native folk and other Black and Brown folk, and LGBTQ folks get systematically undercounted, to speak to what you were saying, you know, the importance of being sure to count them. And also there aren't definitions that are appropriate to different subgroups. And so especially for families with children and youth, a lot of the definitions don't apply, especially since they don't include couch surfing, which is a big form of homelessness in those populations. So yeah, so we have to do something about how we count folks, right? Because if you're not counted, you don't count. Until recently, the count of minors in Alameda County that were homeless was 10. And the number of transitional age youth, so 18 to 24, was under 100. I can't remember what the exact number was. So obviously those are ridiculous numbers. And that was for all of Alameda County. So that's a really key thing. So we can see how all this is connected to policy. Do you guys have anything you want to share?
Yeah, I think something that it just shows how everything is like being so connected.
Yeah,
You had a question about, the percentage of students that are homeless. Is just like you think about like the problem with over-enrollment and having
Yeah.
diversity, like, is focusing on like building more housing.
Yep.
is basically focusing, rather than like using the funds that we do have to provide for the students who are like already struggling a lot.
Yep.
In the university, so that's just.
I'm glad you're mentioning that. And that's the question that's incorrect. And the sad thing is that the number is much higher. So since the beginning of the school year, 25% of Cal students have experienced unstable housing or homelessness, defined by not having a safe, regular place to stay. So 1 in 4, so 11,000 students. There are so many factors related to that. And so that's one of the reasons why the Student for Housing Justice Group got organized. The other thing that's happening, and I don't take it lightly to, say this about the university. I'm very proud to be a Cal professor, but I think you have to name things when things are wrong. And so that is based on the university's own data. It's not based on a student survey that's all biased or some crazy professor who cares about homelessness. It's the university's own data. And so the number was a little bit lower than that in the first survey at the beginning of fall semester. It went up to 25% of the second survey. And that wasn't because it was a longer period of time. They were saying, since the last survey, how many of you have experienced homelessness? Defined, as I said, by not having a safe, regular place to stay. And then they did something really, really innovative to address the numbers in January. They didn't ask the question. They left it off that survey, which was given, and they took the question off. So, and there's like, no one knows about that, right? And it's horrifying. And I just feel like we should, there should be huge protests around that, because it's invisibilizing the lived experience of 11,000 students. So, so sadly, that's the question that's wrong. Yeah, do you guys in the on Zoom want to share anything in chat?
Hi,
Or out loud?
everyone.
Hi.
Can everyone?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I really liked this little quiz because for me, the answers were really shocking. And I mean, I consider myself to be someone who tries to be aware of issues that are around me. And it was just surprising that the score I got on the quiz and just the different information, it really surprised me, especially the percentage of students who are unhoused at Berkeley. I just didn't expect that, considering how Berkeley tries to show that it's an institution that helps its students, but obviously that's really not the case.
Yeah, actually, I want to create a sweatshirt with Cal colors and a bear on it. And I want to have it say hashtag Bruins are better, because UCLA, this is another thing that hasn't gotten a lot of attention, last month promised to guarantee housing to all UCLA students for 4 years.
Wow.
So it's not Merced, it's not Irvine, it's UCLA. So if UCLA can do it, we can do it. So I'll take your question and then I'll try to wrap up.
How affordable is the housing that they are proposing?
I don't know. That's a very good question. Because if you're guaranteeing housing, you have to guarantee housing that people can actually live in. And that's definitely not the case here. But I can't imagine they really mean all on-campus housing because it's so big. So, and one thing we don't have is a housing office, someplace you can go get help to find housing. Or, university managed buildings that are low rent in the community. So there's a lot of things that can be done in the community to address. I don't know what I'm hoping to get a hold of their housing plan. We also don't have a housing plan on campus for how to house students. We only have a building plan. And so, which is related to fundraising, right? There is no office that pays attention to housing students. And so that's another thing we want to create is a group that will help house everyone. Hooray. Okay, well, I'm going to step away. I could talk to you guys all night. Thank you very much, Brandon, for inviting me and all of you for doing this work. And I hope some of you take my class. Hooray. I'm really sorry I can't hear you speak, Devarian. I'm very excited about the work that you're doing. It's so relevant to what's happening on our campus. So thank you.